What just happened to your mic? It kind of just faded out.
Yeah. And welcome to probably be a sort of decision talking about caffeine.
Wait, it already started?
Like 10 seconds ago.
Oh, wow. I don't
Oh,
see a notification.
I'm running the show today
Hello.
because today is Mario's birthday party, so he is out of town or out of his house.
Well, he's at his house, but he's just not here because he's celebrating his birthday.
He is 18 now, so
So, I mean, okay, so, yeah, this is 98, the 98th episode?
yep.
Getting close to the 100th, huh?
Oh yeah. And now Mario can be tried as an adult.
Yeah, I can too. I'm 18, so.
We're all old now.
Well, as you can see in the title, our main topic is passive aggressive, aggressivism, or whatever, how you'd say that. But, that was Mario's topic, and he's not here, and I don't really have too many opinions on it.
I guess
I
my
mean,
only opinion is why is it people? I don't know. I guess people who say it's bad. I don't see it. I don't see why it's bad. It's just
the only, like, I only see it bad as if you're, like, always doing it and you're doing it on purpose. Other than that, if it's just, like, it's kind of just like whatever.
yeah, it's like just being snappy or quirky, not quirky, snappy or like sarcastic. It's like being sarcastic all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty much it.
It's like, what, you rather me be physically aggressive? Okay. What you, Snick? Your opinion on passive aggressivism?
I feel passive aggressive
Looking at
right
the
now.
podcast, what's going on with the camera situation? Or
I'm trying to get set up. I had
yeah,
to readjust stuff because Nick did the screen thing, but I can fix it. No problem. Alright, hold on. Alright, so since that topic's out of the way, you wanna
that was quick.
tell me? Oh, hello, Yellowhammer. Screen capture. So I guess it's your turn, Brandon.
Yeah, to talk about my topic.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get started then. So, okay, we are currently in the generation of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and I've been really kind of just finding myself going back to old games more often than I play modern games. And I don't know if it's just because, like, older systems and older, like, games had much variety, but really all I see now is just kind of shooter after shooter on the PlayStations. And I don't know what it is, but shooters have kind of just been boring to me recently. I don't really want to play them too much. So, and it's not only that. Another problem with modern gaming is the whole fact that DLC is the way you make your money on your games now instead of the game itself. Like, for example, Black Ops, which was a crap shooter, it came out broken, and then it had a crap ton of DLC, and then at the end they didn't even fix anything with it, so it was still ending up broken. And that's really what modern gaming has been coming to nowadays. It's just, okay, release a shooter, and it's got to be broken. You don't got to care about it, so release the shooter. We'll make our money by selling a crap ton of bullshit DLC and other crap. And that's all it is nowadays. Another problem is the whole loot box bullshit. I really hate loot boxes with a passion. They're stupid. Especially if it's like... So earlier this year we had Star Wars Battlefront 2 come out
Yeah.
by EA. And the way they did it was you can buy loot boxes, and before they fixed it, you could buy loot boxes, and it would literally like it was just straight up gambling. You would buy it to try to get a strong character. So in doing that, it made that game pay to win. And by doing that and making a game pay to win, it's like just literally straight up gambling, because you could try to farm the credits required to get a character, but it would take such a long time. It's not really useful, and you could take the short, lazy route of just literally spending like $20 to try to get that character. And I find that really just a like horrible, scammy business practice. You know, it's not good. Which is why that game, since we all know that Disney bought out the rights to Star Wars. Disney pretty much stepped in and said, "Hey, yeah, fuck you. We're not doing this. So shut it down."
Yeah, Disney did the same thing when they bought Power Rangers. It's like, you know what? People like this franchise. Let's make it cheap, produce it as cheap as hell.
I don't know, dude. I just don't know what the hell, why I find older games more appealing than modern games. It's just like part of the reason is all the games on the PlayStation 4 are like mostly shooters, and I'm getting bored of every shooter, like just one after another. Because my favorite genre of games is platformers. Those are my favorite genre of games, and there's not very many platformers out there anymore. You know?
Yeah. I do like some modern games, like I played Breath of the Wild, but recently.
Breath of the Wild is not really a shooter; it's an action adventure.
Oh, yeah. I don't really play shooter. I've always liked shooter. I never really liked shooter games that much because I always sucked at them. Even with the original Doom. I think Doom was the original shooter game.
Yeah, I think the original, like very first one was
If you count Duck Hunt.
Wolfenstein.
Oh.
I think it was Wolfenstein.
Yeah,
like a first-person shooter, not what Duck Hunt was, where you interact with the game by holding your little light gun to shoot the ducks. But
yeah, like back when I played Doom in the '90s or Wolfenstein type games, it was like I just died instantly all the time, and so I'm like, nope. So
you were pretty much just like, nah, these suck.
So I never got into the craze of shooting games. What about you, Snick? What's your opinion on modern gaming? Shooter or non-shooter wise?
What am I playing right now?
He's playing an older game. He's playing Castlevania.
I gotta say, I feel fatigued with games in general. Like, there's not many that are keeping my interest right now. Castlevania, Resident Evil, and Metal Gear are the only ones that have been able to do it at the moment.
What do you think is the problem with like modern gaming in general? Like,
to me, I don't know. A weird issue to bring up first is the fact that soundtracks suck nowadays.
yeah, you got a good point.
Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's probably when I beat Deus Ex Mankind Divided, the credits song, that one was awesome. Like, it was like a heavy metal remix. It was like it was like a rock techno remix of the main menu music from Deus Ex Human Revolution.
Yeah.
But the rest of the soundtrack,
Meh. Yellowhammer said he remembers when games were original. He's got a point. Like, games nowadays are kind of almost all very similar, the shooter-wise, but like
I have to do that.
in the 90s, you wouldn't see too many games that were almost very alike.
I mean,
Hell,
yeah,
even
when they,
like other ports of the game,
yeah,
even
like I said, even when the games were the same system, like Genesis or NES, they were totally different games almost.
yeah, they were pretty much. I think a good example was like Ninja Turtles. I think it was like completely different on the Genesis.
Was he even on the Genesis?
It might have been. I don't know. I might just be talking out of my ass. But I do know, like, Genesis versus Super Nintendo, the games are almost always different.
Well, I thought Death wasn't going to appear for a minute.
You can skip him in the PlayStation 1 version. Keep all your shit.
I'm pretty sure you can in this version too, but I'm not doing that. That's chicken.
Yeah.
Face
it's good
death.
for a speedrun, but...
Face death like a man. Like, I'm not scared of you, Death. Come at me.
It's good for a speedrun.
The reason why I would want to play this version in a live Let's Play is because not many people know about it.
The PlayStation Portable one?
Yeah.
And its differences?
The one where you can play as Maria in America and fight Maria in America, aside from the Saturn version. And it's also the one with the better voice acting.
Yeah, from what I played, the voice acting was much, much better.
And not to mention, instead of having... And they also redo the entire translation of the Japanese. You get like the better, like for instance, you don't have the better voices saying "Die, monster! You don't belong." Anything like that.
Yeah, I do gotta admit the cheesy original translation is still pretty funny, but
yeah, but still, if you want to take the game seriously, then you need to play this version.
I'll say yeah.
Honestly, I would have played it on my PlayStation TV because I do it in PSN, but it doesn't work on PlayStation TV.
Why is that?
Because
is it just doesn't let you download it?
It lets me download it, but the thing is, on the PlayStation Vita, as long as you can get the game on there, you can play it. PlayStation TV, I don't know what Sony did, but they configured the PlayStation TV to check if the game is compatible. And if it's not compatible, it'll give you an error message if you try to launch it.
Well, that's stupid.
Originally, there was an exploit that allowed you to get past it. Like, I mean, supposedly the reason why they did that was to prevent you from playing Vita games that required the camera, something the PlayStation TV doesn't have. But it makes no sense for PSP games to have it.
Yeah, because this is a PSP game, so it wouldn't need the camera crap.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got something to do with... I don't know.
Well,
backwards compatibility? Who knows?
I don't know. All I know is that Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops is made compatible, so it can't be Konami.
Yeah. It's gotta be something with the PSTV itself, then. But I don't know why they would lock down content for the PlayStation TV. Are they just like trying to make you? They're like, oh, you can buy this $100 thing, but if you want to play all the games, you need to buy a PlayStation Vita.
Or the PlayStation Pro now. Apparently, I saw this video about the Pro, and the people, they have to, even though the Pro can do more stuff than the regular one, they still have to make games that it can play on both systems.
Yep.
I mean, apparently it can play PS4 games better or more graphically fun or something, but it's like, oh, you still have to be able to play. I guess that's a good thing too. You still have to be able to play the. You can't max it up the games up so much that you can't be on the PS4. You can't work on the PS4 at all.
The only thing I really know about the PlayStation Pro or the PlayStation 4 Pro is that all it really does is allow you to play PlayStation 4 games in 4K. Other than that, it's kind of just a more powerful PlayStation 4. So like you might see improvements in like load times on the menu or whatever. But I think what they also did, and I'm not really too sure about this, I think the PlayStation 4 Pro is the only one compatible with PlayStation VR, but like I said, I don't really
normal
know.
PS4 can use PSVR.
Oh, so then really
Because
all it is
because the PSVR launched before the PS4 Pro even came out.
Yeah, then I guess the only really reason to get a PlayStation 4 Pro is just more graphical power, and that's it.
And is that really a good reason for getting a new system?
Dark Souls Remastered. They keep saying it's going to run at 60 FPS, but they specifically only mention PS4 Pro.
Yeah, so it might run in 30 on the original.
My Dark Souls Remastered only runs on 40 FPS on PS4. That, considering they got Dark Souls 2.
So the idea that companies release Pro or Plus versions of the products without noticeable significant benefits is basically a cash grab. But if it's a company,
pretty much, yeah.
I don't know. I love to be sympathetic. I've recently developed a habit of being sympathetic to people in at least some way. Like all these people, I keep bringing up the Silent Hill HD collection. All these people keep saying, "Oh, it was just a cash grab, like greedy Konami. It should never came out." Except, I give the Silent HD credits slack because at the very least, it gave us ways to play Silent Hill.
I think Skype is messing up.
It's not the definitive edition. Given how expensive the original have become, it's the cheapest way as well.
How expensive are the originals nowadays?
The Black Label, well, the Silent Hill 2 is not that bad. If you want the PS2 version, the version you want is the greatest hits edition. It has an extra chapter. But the greatest hits is like $30.
$30 for it?
And then the Black Label version is like $20. That doesn't have the extra.
That's getting up there.
Thankfully, there is an alternative. There's an Xbox version.
The original Xbox?
Well, of course, all the hardcore you say, oh, PS2 is the best experience.
I mean, if you can get like the bonus chapters and whatnot on the PlayStation 4 version, then that's pretty much just saving people money, especially since it's a collection. So it's got like the first one and the second one, right?
Yeah. No, it's got the second and the third one. The first one was a PS1 game.
Oh.
And
it's still saving people money and giving them like the full experience without having to go seek out the older games, which are getting more and more rare.
Not to mention Silent Hill 3 is like $20, $30, whereas the HD collection, you want to get it on PS3 because the collection launched with some bugs and glitches. A lot of a lot of them were fixed on the PS3 version, but they weren't on the 60 version.
See, with the Insane trilogy that came out last year, I wouldn't say that's a cash grab either because the games were on the PlayStation 1, and they're getting a bit more expensive nowadays, but they're still like a really fun game to play. And what they were doing is bringing it to a newer audience, which is a good thing because if they had it as a smash hit, if it got really good sales, which as of I think it was this month, I think it's gotten to like 4 million sales so far. The chances are we'll be getting a new Crash game because of it.
Now, I want to say this. A lot of people love just throwing around terms like cash grab, shit, edgy. I recently watched today I watched a 1 hour video. This is kind of off topic, but kind of on topic, because maybe you could say it's passive, sarcastic and shit. It was a 1 hour video asking if the Disney version of Doug was bad.
Of what?
You know, Doug, the Nickelodeon, the classic Nicktoon that was one of the first Nicktoons with Rats and Stimpy.
Doug?
Yeah, Doug.
Oh, Doug. He said doggies, like doggies. Never heard that before.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I saw both versions of Doug. I think I forget how old I was when Doug came out. I think I was a kid.
Doug came out in 1991.
I was 11 then. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the Disney version is often originally when Doug ended on Nickelodeon, Disney ended up buying its production company, and they ended up making new episodes on Disney's One Saturday, I think.
Yeah, Doug was in the original Nicktoons with Rugrats and stuff.
Everyone claimed a lot of people claimed the Disney version was not as good as the Nickelodeon version, including a lot of the cast. In fact, the stuff is
Hey, can you hear Snick, or it's just me that can't hear him?
I think it's having troubles with his Skype or something, because like I'll be able to hear him for a while, but then his mic will like fade out.
I wish to switch the Hangout.
So yet again, another freaking problem with Skype. Whatever, stupid fucking Skype.
I don't know if I should do. I thought about doing it from Hangouts instead of Skype.
Okay, what should we talk about now? Any ideas?
Wait.
Oh wait, you're back. There you go. Now you can continue.
Wait. All I was trying to say was the Disney version of Doug was not as well received as the Nickelodeon version. And to the point where a lot of the original cast and crew agreed. In fact, the voice of Doug himself didn't even return for the Disney version because Disney got all corporate when they invited him back. They said he was going to have to do a bunch of other voices, and he was going to get no extra pay, and he was going to have to do a long commute from New York to Los Angeles every freaking week or so, and he said no.
I would probably say no, too. That sounds like a pain in the ass.
I agree.
So, I watched an hour-long video asking if the Disney version was really that bad. On a side note, the ultimate answer was kind of not entirely.
Kind of, but not entirely.
Basically, the reason why was because they made a lot of changes.
So they made a lot of changes that hindered what the original vision was, or
Well, they made a lot of changes to what was important of the original series, like Doug's favorite band was disbanded. The burger joint was shut down.
Well, I can see if they change all that things, then yeah, I think a lot of people would say it's not as good as the original.
The person who made the video displayed a few clips of other versions. There was one woman giving a professional presentation video. You know, all those people stand on the you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a clip of one woman saying, "I was surprised but ignore the Disney version. It was bad."
Are you on your computer now? Are you using your computer now? Peer Skype?
Do we have a bad connection? I guess we do.
I think he has a problems with his computer Skype a lot of times. He said before.
Complain about it one more time, I'm leaving the episode. I'm not even kidding.
Well, we can your mic fades out for some reason, so we have troubles hearing you.
Well, I hate Skype. So Skype's not gonna deal with this bullshit.
Should we switch to Hangouts?
I mean, we're at 30 minutes right now.
Yeah, probably wrap this up soon. Yeah, Skype just sucks. I don't know if it's my Skype or just Skype in general.
I think it might be just Skype in general. I've been having a lot of problems with Skype in general lately, especially on my cell phone. Oh my god, it's unusable on my cell phone. It'll just, on my cell phone, what it'll do is it'll constantly just disconnect for no real reason.
New plan. Next time if I'm doing this solo without Mario, doing this in Google Hangouts. Again.
That might be a good idea,
so,
I guess.
Can I say one more time?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, this woman in this clip that the video I watched played, she was saying, yes, Doug was a classic Nicktoon, but ignore the Disney version. It sucked. Doug's sleeves are not long.
That was her complaint?
That was her complaint. And the thing is, people made fun of Chris Chan because he went into a GameStop store, defaced equipment, and maced an employee because in that Wii U game Sonic Boom, Sonic's arms were blue instead of tan. And yet this one woman in a freaking professional YouTube video, oh, she's allowed to call a show shit because of a character's sleeves. Hypocrites!
That's really a stupid argument. What? Oh, you changed a minor thing that doesn't really do much. Now it's the worst thing ever. How stupid.
That's why I don't watch a lot of YouTubers anymore.
Yeah?
Because you hear a lot of stupid shit coming out of people's mouths. Like, getting back to the Silent Hill HD collection, two British guys in a YouTube video, I forget what the channel was called, they were talking about remasters and whether or not they were honest-to-God efforts or cash grabs. And when they mentioned the Silent Hill HD collection being a cash grab, they mentioned that the games had to basically be rebuilt from a beta version because the source codes for the completed versions were lost.
Yeah, that was their complaint. But how are you supposed to make a game,
Well, no.
I guess what people don't understand is if you don't have the source code, you can't really build the game, you know?
Yeah, and no, what their complaint was, they said, really, guys? You have the original discs, just use that.
That's not how it works.
You know, it's funny, the first time I mentioned that issue, it was on the KH Lore podcast, Raximus was in the call. He immediately, started laughing. He's like, but that's not how it works!
It's not, because, you can't get the source code out of the disc. It's, impossible to do that.
It's like...
Yeah, in the KH HD collection, KH 1.5, they had to rebuild the final mix version of the first game from the ground up because the source code for that was lost. And then there's a Sega Saturn game by the name of Panzer Dragoon Saga, which is probably one of the rarest games in existence. A lot of people have been clamoring
for it.
Yeah, a lot of people have been clamoring for a re-release of that, but Sega has said numerous times they can't because the source code is gone.
If people wanted it that bad, what they'd have to do is literally build the game from ground up.
And Sega doesn't have the money to do that.
Yeah, they don't have enough money to do that right now.
They don't have enough money and there's not enough interest.
Yeah, it's I think it's a minor amount of people who want a remaster of it. Because it's not very well known, right?
Yeah, Panzer Dragoon's not that well known.
At least here in America. I think it was bigger in Japan, maybe.
Yeah, but obviously the Japanese audience isn't clamoring for it that much. But then again,
Yep.
the Saturn version of the game in Japan's a lot more common.
Yes.
So,
From what I saw, I think it was like 300 versus our like 500 or 600. Yeah, I can look it up.
It says Yellow Hammer says YouTube is plagued by clickbaiters.
Yeah, it's been like that for a
oh yeah.
Okay, so right now for the one here in America, you're going to look at paying 600. Let me see what the Japanese one is like. It's like at minimum 100. Or maybe
To respond to
I'm looking at the
Yellow
wrong
Hammer,
one.
Sega's problems began with the Saturn.
It did start with the Saturn.
I thought it began with
No, it kind of started with the 32X.
Yes, I'll have to say that.
The 32X was released way too close to the Saturn, so it divided most of the fan base with either go with the 32X or go with the new Saturn thing that came out, which is part of the reason why that flopped so badly. And I'm not sure why it was, but it was horridly unsuccessful here in America. I don't know what the reason behind that was, but it was way more better in Japan. It had a lot better sales.
What, the Saturn or 32X?
The Saturn did.
Oh.
32X flopped everywhere.
Because probably people bought the Saturn more than 32X. I thought because buy a standalone system or buy the same price for a system that
Exactly.
For the 600-year-old thing, like, for the same exact price. I guess that's why Nintendo won the console wars until Sony and Microsoft came out.
I think Nintendo back in the older days had a lot better marketing than the they just knew what they were going to do with the systems, but obviously their worst mistake was having the N64 as a cartridge system when everyone else was going the route with discs. But because what that did was it pissed off a lot of the third-party developers who jumped ship to PlayStation.
Yeah, Square was gonna put Final Fantasy VII or some Final Fantasy game on the N64, but they jumped ship to PS1.
Yeah, because they could. It was physically impossible for them to fit it on a cartridge with how big they wanted it.
Yeah.
So that's why they jumped ship to the disc.
Not many companies stuck with Nintendo back then.
Yeah,
but
not
to mention on the GameCube decided to use those miniature GameCube discs, whereas PS2 and Xbox were using DVDs and they had DVD players.
Yeah, that was another bad mistake they did. They made the weird mini discs, which in turn cost them more to make, and wasn't really all that practical, as it could only at the time hold a maximum I think of at most 2 gigabytes. Versus the PlayStation 4, I think the PlayStation 2, could hold I think it was 4 gigs.
I think it was 4, but now here's the thing. The funny thing is, because of that, there were several multi-platform games that were single disc on the PS2 and Xbox, but then the GameCube versions had to be 2 discs.
Yep.
So I guess that's the beginning of Nintendo's fall from grace.
Hey, it was just what their problem was is they were doing just really strange things with their consoles in the later years. The mini disc fuck up, that was really bad. The Wii was the most successful console here.
I think I think the Wii was their first thing.
So that one didn't do that bad.
The Wii was their first thing going back up there, because I think they were the first motion control people, weren't they?
Yeah, the Wii pretty much brought them back after the failure of the N64 and the...
I wouldn't say the N64 was a failure.
It wasn't really
the GameCube was more so a
but,
failure than the N64.
Yeah, definitely. That's for sure. But
Yeah, the GameCube was more of a failure compared to the N64.
Yeah, because
I'd say the Wii kind of just brought them back to the market with because what its main thing was is it brought a lot of non-gamers who haven't played any games in a long time back to the gaming world because of its whole you can play tennis, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Because the 64 had Ocarina of Time and the game that you hacked, Mario 64.
Yeah.
And GoldenEye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the GameCube was probably way worse than the N64, but like I said, the main thing that the N64 did was just piss off the third-party developers, and that's been shown, as in with the Wii U, that's a good way to get your console to have bad sales. Because the Wii U just...
That's what happened with
fucking
Sega,
had nothing.
too, on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, it is what happened with Sega.
Yeah, because third-party... say what you will about EA, they suck ass. After what they did... I would say there was a time when they were good. Now they suck. But let's just say that EA was still one of the biggest third-party publishers. They refused to publish for the Dreamcast.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. It had something to do with... I don't know exactly why. It had something to do with abandoning the Saturn too quickly and putting the Dreamcast on the market. The thing with the Saturn had a very botched launch.
And it had a really short lifetime, too.
Well, it's actually almost comedy the way the Saturn flopped.
Yeah?
So, the very first E3 in 1995... So here's the thing. The Saturn was originally supposed to launch in September.
It was?
Yeah, in September 95 with the PS1. But then Sega thought it would be a good idea. Hey, the PS1 looks like a little threat. You know what? Why don't we get the competitive edge and release it right now?
So they rushed it.
They didn't necessarily rush it. So essentially they go on their so it's their turn during E3. They announce that the Saturn will be sold to select retailers the next day.
The next day?
But now, honestly, I could see what they were going with that announcement. There's only a problem.
What's the problem?
No one knew they were doing that.
No one knew?
No one except the select retailers they partnered with knew they were going to do that.
Wow, that is a very bad idea to do that.
And the thing is, a lot of retailers like KB Toys, they felt hurt that they weren't included in the deal to sell the Saturn early.
So they never sold it there?
Blacklisted Sega products.
So intern, what they did was cut off some of the big people.
They cut off some people. Some stores just simply put little focus on their Saturn, on their Sega products. They just had them in a small little section in the corner, which unfortunately indirectly contribute to the rarity of a lot of American Saturn games, since not a lot of them had a shelf life.
There's some rare Japanese ones, too. I have Symphony of the Night. I don't know why that one, the Japanese version on the Saturn, is so rare, but, man, it set me back $114.
But, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, that might have been a problem, losing some of their biggest supporters.
Yeah.
I think, wasn't back then KB Toys, really, really big?
Were a big thing back then. The thing is, they were one of the retailers that completely blacklisted Sega products. They just got rid of everything Sega related and just made more room for Sony and Nintendo.
That is a big blow to Sega. And holy crap.
They made the announcement so abruptly that game developers didn't have time to adjust to it. So as a result, sure, the system launched early, but it only had 6 games for 6 months until the original intended September release date, when they slowly start coming out alongside the PS1.
It sounds like they should have just waited till September, because it threw a bunch of people off the boat with how shocking it was.
Yeah, and the last thing they announced in their announcement was that the Saturn would be $400, $399.
Wow, that's kind
They
of
take that
expensive.
long, extensive E3 announcement, and they left a lot of people thrown off by that. You know how Sony's presentation for the PS1 went?
How did it go?
The boss of PlayStation, or at least the speaker for PlayStation at the time, he walked on the stage. He said this, $299. Walked off the stage.
$299. That's it.
And as soon as he said it and walked off the stage, there was thunderous applause.
Okay, so listen to this, Schnick. So you said it was $399 in 1995, right?
Yeah.
Using the inflation calculator, you know how much it would cost you nowadays?
How much?
$640.
Worse than the PS3. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Genesis Classic game console? Sega made that? Thought it was like a third-party company.
Well, there's the At Games Sega Genesis. It was made by that third-party company, but it got Sega's blessing. Too bad it's not very good quality.
Was that like to like jump on the Nintendo Classic bandwagon they were doing?
It must have been, I guess.
Nintendo. Does Nintendo basically have the monopoly on portable games now? Game cartridges, like mobile.
I'm gonna get a
They're
nice.
the only company that. Okay. I think right now they're the only really company that's focusing on portable game consoles.
Especially
But
after the Vita failed.
like I said, the mobile market is like growing at a kind of alarming pace. But I think what most people are gonna do now, instead of like, okay, so I have my cell phone, but Nintendo released, say, the 4DS, I don't know, whatever. It's a new product. Just say it's a new product. Say they release a 4DS. I think what most people would be like, yeah, I think what most people would be like, would you either pick the Nintendo's new 4DS, or would you rather just use your cell phone? I think a bunch of people would just be like, I'll just use my cell phone.
The only problem with that is cell phone games is most cell phone games is to do anything you have to buy stuff. Pay
Like Clash of Clans. Yeah, most of them are pay to win.
Be like, unless you're just that good at the game.
So here's what I've gathered on Clash of Clans. Like,
I used to play that.
So you can play Clash of Clans, say, for 3 years and make it to a level 8 town hall, because that's what I made it to before I quit again. Yeah, I say again, I played that game and quit quite a few times, but it'll take you like 3 or 4 years to get there. That's what it took for me. Or you could buy, I don't know, you could buy $100 in bullshit gems to speed up the process. It's pay to win. It's stupid. Like, it really is, like you said, the biggest problem with the mobile gaming market right now.
Or you have to,
pay to win games.
And
another game I especially hate is Candy Crush. Like, there's a bunch of Bejeweled clones out there that their marketing tactic is literally to just, oh, you gotta buy all this bullshit to win, so, yep, good luck.
90% off.
90% off. Tells you how bad that thing was. Oh my god.
Oh, it's even worse than the... It had more games than the NES Classic, but it sold worse.
Speaking of those consoles, what is your opinion on them? NES Classic and SNES Classic now. I think with the way they're going right now, I think I would not be surprised if in sometime this year we see a N64 Classic Edition. I would not be surprised.
Yeah. I think the concept is good. It's just... Basically not the gameplay, but more like if you're like a collector, you know. I think it's more
if you're a retro gamer.
Yeah, the only problem is, and I mentioned that before, is half the games on the, because I fell for it. I got one to be retro, but half the games on it I have no interest in playing unless I just board or something, if you could pick the games you want to play on it.
I think a big problem with it is it's not the console itself. If it had, okay, so let's say Nintendo had the ability to put any game they wanted on there, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they would do that, but the only problem with it that Nintendo's not going to tell you, their problem with it is the licensing. They can't license out the IP unless they pay like a huge sum of money, which if they did that, it would in turn take this product, like the N60, like, I don't know, the SNES Classic, and it would just hike up the price with the games that they would put on it because they have to pay for the IP. You know?
Yeah.
So that's a problem with it. But a good thing is, like, if you're a retro gamer and let's just say, I don't know, you don't want to buy a Super Famicom, right? You just want a classic little one that has, like, a bunch of games on it. The good thing is if you buy it, you won't, if you hack it, you can put any game you want on it. So it kind of just makes it an emulation box, which we've had, what are they called? I think they were called Raspberry Pis. We've had Raspberry Pis for a long time, which are basically just emulation boxes. But Nintendo are playing on people's nostalgia for, like, the design of it and their childhood games or whatever. Like, their marketing strategy was literally, for the NES Classic, they literally recreated what a 90s commercial would look like to play on nostalgia. So I think that's the big thing that's going with those consoles. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but relying mainly on nostalgia is a bad thing, especially when they have not very good game picking choices. Yeah, like some of the games, if I was there, I wouldn't have them. So like, I think they had on this. Let me just look up the list.
See,
I think they had Castlevania and Castlevania 2, and didn't leave out Castlevania 3. I'm still looking it up.
Castlevania 3 was for SNES, I think.
No, there was Castlevania 3 on the NES, but it was just not on it. Okay, so here's the games they had on it, right?
Okay.
So they had Ghosts and Goblins. These are the ones that I'd play anyways. They had Ghosts and Goblins. They had Galaga. They had Contra. Super Contra, I guess. That's what it was called. And they had Double Dragon, Mario Bros. They had, obviously, the Mario Bros. 2 and Mario Bros. 3.
Obviously.
And then they had Donkey Kong and the original, like, Mario Bros. Not the original one where on the NES where you run and save the princess, but the one that's like attuned to the arcade one where you bonk the enemies.
The one where the mini game you played in Mario 3.
Pretty much. They also have Punch Out and Dr. Mario, Zelda 2,
Zelda 1,
and Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and Pac-Man,
and Excite Bike,
Metroid, and Excite Bike, and they also had Ninja Gaiden and Kirby. Some of the games that I wouldn't play is Metroid. I probably wouldn't play that. Balloon Fight. I probably wouldn't play that. Donkey Kong Jr. I don't really like that game. Ice Climber. I haven't really ever tried it, but Kid Icarus. I probably wouldn't play it. Tech Mobile. Definitely would not play that shit. And yeah, they had Castlevania 2, but they didn't have Castlevania 3.
Are you sure?
So they had Castlevania 1 and 3.
Was that the one with the game that they were both for both systems? At the same time, Castlevania 3 came on both systems. I didn't know it came on the NES at all. I thought it was.
No, Castlevania 3 was an NES game.
Castlevania 4 was Super Nintendo.
Yeah, Castlevania 4 was Super Nintendo. But yeah, they left out Castlevania 3 for Castlevania 2, which is personally one of the games that I would not leave out of the system, which is that's a problem with that system, is just the game choices. Like, some of them I just would not pick.
Yeah, AVGN famously covered Castlevania 2. I remember in his original video, he just said it was a complete piece of shit. But when he did his Castlevania marathon and recovered the game, he said that he admitted while the game was really flawed, he admitted it did have its strong points. Like, for instance, the Castlevania games are always known for their soundtrack, at least the classic series it is. One of the more famous tracks, Bloody Tears, originates with Castlevania 2.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite Castlevania songs. I think one of the main problems with Castlevania 2 was probably just the whole cryptic nature behind it, and how it was open-ended, so without a guide, good luck, pretty much.
That's the... You know, I mentioned a user called Dark Lord Jetto, who I watch.
Yeah?
He reviewed the original Metroid, and he noted how it was a well-loved classic, but then he basically said, fuck all of you, to me this game sucks.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, like, he says he loves the later Metroid games, Super Metroid, Metroid Prime, all that, but he said the original Metroid is super cryptic. Like, all the areas look the goddamn same, and without a map to guide you, he says he gets lost quickly, and a lot of the elements that made the later Metroid games fun are not there.
I've never played the original Metroid, so... Well, actually, I've never played any Metroid.
Basically, Metroid is... You know,
I've
like
heard
how
of
Castlevania Symphony of the Night is?
Yeah.
Basically, the kind of name that Castlevania Symphony of the Night game the kind of name it got was called Metroidvania. Because
so
essentially...
Does that mean,
essentially... Well, Castlevania Symphony of the Night had a map system kind of like Metroid, where you had to explore. Yeah. Like, essentially, Symphony of the Night borrowed from Metroid in that regard. So basically, Metroid's an exploration game like that, just without the elements.
So that would mean, like, Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo is what Castlevania borrowed upon?
Yeah, Super Metroid's what it borrowed upon. Even the original, but Super Metroid was more influential, I would say.
I saw Metroid at GameStop. I might have to get some more money and go buy that just to try it.
Which one?
The NES Metroid.
Wait, your GameStop sells retro games in store?
Yeah, they have like a small collection of them.
What the fuck? None of my GameStops do that.
That's what we were talking about earlier while you were gone.
Yeah, I got these two games from GameStop. You can see by the little protection sticker on them.
He's thinking about how his GameStop started doing that recently.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would say, I guess, take a word of caution with the original Metroid, because I guess people would argue it hasn't aged well, and you're probably going to need a guide.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I played the original Legend of Zelda, and I got pretty far on it without a guide, but...
Yeah, those are the games you either have to be... You need a guide, you either got to be very lucky, because you gotta get missiles to get past this one stage or whatever area. You gotta get jump abilities. It's very weird. The map was you don't know where you're going. You can get lost easily.
Have you, Brandon? I would heavily recommend Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime on the Wii.
Yeah, well, they have 2 games on the GameCube, 1 on the Wii. And then there's Metroid Prime Trilogy, which has all 3 of them on the Wii. And, like, the first 2 games are updated with to have motion controls.
I know that the only thing I know about the Metroid Prime is that it's like a first-person adventure. So
yeah, it is a first-person game, but it's basically the same thing. You're exploring, like, a big map.
From what I saw, it looked interesting, so I'm going to have to... Like, the games that I want to try... With this cartridge, I could easily play Super Metroid, but I do want to try Metroid Prime someday, so I'll probably get it on the Wii.
They're supposed to be releasing a Metroid Prime for the Switch, but We'll see how
I don't
that
have
turns
a
out.
Switch yet. I need to get one. So I can play Mario Odyssey.
There's mine. There.
Vandelia and I are the ones who are stuck on the Wii U, and Schnick and Mario have the Switch.
The only reason, I've said this numerous times, the only reason I got a Switch is because I had nothing better to ask for Christmas.
Yeah.
I might get one with my taxes either this year or next year, but really I don't.
Your tax returns?
Yeah, maybe next year, because right now there's only 4 games that I want to play on the Switch that I know of, and that's Breath of the Wild, Odyssey, maybe Splatoon 2.
Don't you have Breath of the Wild?
Hammer,
I know, I do that now, so I might need that now. And The Road to Ends with You. I only have Breath of the Wild, so I don't really need to get that. That's one game down, only 3 games, so maybe I'll wait until next year when I have more games out. There's no point of getting a system unless you have only going to play 2 games on it or 3. Of course, except for me, when I bought Kingdom Hearts for it, still makes me angry that I did that. Because a month later, they think, oh, we're going to PS4 now. You son of a bitches! I hate you still.
Oh, I just thought of another reason why Nintendo released the classic systems. Another reason they're doing it is because collecting the retro video games nowadays is getting pretty expensive. So it's just like some of the games that are on classic systems are quite expensive, but from what I saw, it was you can expect to play some of them about 30 to 60, but you could buy this system for 60 that has maybe a few of your favorite games from your childhood. But like I said, I just don't really like the concept all that much. It's just an emulation box.
Like I said, it's more for nostalgia grab for
pretty much
for old school gamers.
But my prediction still stands. I'm pretty sure Nintendo's going to do an N64 mini.
Yeah, I wonder what that. I know definitely they're probably going to have Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time and probably Majora's Mask on it. We're definitely sure.
I know that on the N64, the gold cart for Ocarina of Time is getting quite expensive.
I have the gray cartridge, but
yours has the original blood and stuff. So
it does. It does have it. Yeah, but I found out it has the original temple chant, so it should have the blood.
What is that? Where Ganon coughs up blood at the very end?
Yeah.
Yeah. When it came out, I saw people on YouTube comparing it to the Wii U, saying it had better graphics than the Wii U did. It was more clear or something.
Okay, something I'm going to talk about really quickly. Apparently, I'm going to just show this on the stream. So I have a Super Famicom, right?
Yep.
So here's my Super Famicom. So what mine's a little bit different, as you can see there's holes on the side here. A bunch of people apparently don't like this mod because it ruins the face of it, but I don't really care all that much as long as it plays the games. So this is what a Super Famicom cartridge generally is in the shape of, and you'll see it'll just fit in there just fine. But if you take the shape of the American Super Nintendo, you'll see it's wider than this cartridge. So without modifying your Super Nintendo, it will not fit. But since mine's modded, the games fit in there just fine. And I'm fine with this because my Super Nintendo, or Super Famicom, will play the Super Nintendo games just fine since it's Japanese and America are pretty much the same region. So there's not really any region locking on it other than PAL, since they use a different signal. But I don't know why a bunch of people hate that mod. The problem with trying to find an alternate solution with it, that is this cart right here. Although you can plug a game on the top of it like this and play it through this, it won't save any of your progress on it. So that's one issue with this flash cart. Another problem with it is that it won't play every game. So let's take this game, for example. This is Super Mario Kart, right?
The original racing game.
If you try to play Super Mario Kart on this flash cart, what it'll do is it won't launch the game because this cartridge has a little chip inside of it known as a Super FX chip, and that doesn't have it, so it can't emulate that. That's another problem with it. But I'm fine with modding mine like that because it allows me to play my games on it without hassle. So, and some of the cartridge converters nowadays are going like 60 and they don't work. So that's my main problem with it, which is why I just decided to just cut the sides of it. You're my pal. USA. Not the same crap. Yeah, the PAL region is weird. I don't... 60 versus 50 hertz is a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
Where's the PAL region at anyways?
PAL is Europe.
Oh. Aren't they usually the last people at games? First Japan, then America, then Europe usually last?
It's usually, I think that's usually the way it works. They just have different TV signals there, and they use 60 hertz, while Japan and USA use 50 hertz. So there's not really too much of a difference, but 50 hertz TVs will never display a 60 hertz signal. So yeah, I don't know why people hate the mod I do to it. I'm never gonna resell this console, so whatever.
So people hate. Oh, you can play other games on your system now. Boo!
Yeah, let's take a look. So I'll just turn this stupid TV on here. Okay, so normally what would happen, like I said, is you try to fit it in, but oh no, it won't fit. Oh no, it won't fit. The cartridge is too wide. So you try to get an alternative. You get your flash cart or whatever, and you plug it in. Oh hey, look, it's working. And then if you have a normal game, what you'll do is you'll take the cap off, and let's just say you want to play this game. You'll put it on top, and you'll be like, so now you gotta go select it, play the cart game, and you can see it does have issues with the cart sometimes. But then you'll be like, okay, so now it'll play, but it won't save my progress. So instead what you'll do with this mod is you can literally just bypass the flash card playing it that way and just plug it in, and there you go, it'll work.
And people don't like that. People don't like that.
I don't know why people hate that. They just really seem to hate you cutting your console.
People are weird.
Yeah, they are. Especially when it's my property. I can do what I want with it, and it's not like I'm ever gonna resell this console, so I don't see the big deal with it.
Oh my god! Wait, you're saying that people are gonna whine at you for apparently doing shit to your Super Famicom?
Yeah, I've seen people get bitched at on the internet for doing that, but it's just for my convenience, so whatever.
Hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. So, people get bitched at on the internet for tampering with their Super Famicoms, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
And so the people that bitch at these people, they say this.
Our friend Bob there hates modding the Super Nintendo. Oh, speaking of it, it's the same way around. So here in America we have the ugly Super Nintendo. I don't like the design of it personally, the blocky design. But the way you'd mod that one here in America is there's little, if you'll take a look at the cartridge, you'll see these little cutout tabs here. That's where it'll push up on the cartridge and pull it out. Literally, the only thing stopping it is most cartridges. This one has little cutouts for that, so but most out-of-region cartridges won't have those cutouts, so it won't fit in there because, like, it doesn't have the cutouts, so it can't physically fit in there unless you cut those little tabs out. It's a much, much less bad mod on a Super Nintendo than a Super Famicom. But I just like the design of a Famicom better.
That looks like a Genesis cart.
This one does?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the only really difference is it's more attuned to, like, a Game Shark because it's got another cartridge, like, reader up there. But,
Like,
yeah, it does kind of look like a Genesis cartridge.
I used to have a Game Genie for my Super Nintendo.
I have a Game Genie. You want me to show you it? I'll go get it.
Ogre.
So how are you doing? How you doing, Snick? You feeling any better?
I don't know.
This is the only Game Genie that I own. It's for the Sega Genesis. Funny thing is, the Genesis one, the Game Genie, was actually supported by Sega. Like, Sega marketed it pretty much.
Holy
Whereas
shit.
Nintendo tried to actually sue the company back in the day, Galoob, who made it, and pretty much lost because they don't want you to use cheating on our video games. Whereas Sega's like,
The fuck?
whatever,
Wow.
bring it on.
If you're too bad to play our games, we don't care. Just want you to play our games.
Pretty much. But yeah, that's the only Game Genie I own right now.
The only problem with that is back in the day, probably internet now, but back in the day, you had to have your book. If you lost your book, you were screwed.
Code book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can look it up online.
Wah, wah.
Has anybody ever seen?
Oh my god, this is actually going on.
Has any of you seen the Game Genie for the Game Boy? It's ridiculous looking. It's bulky.
Sorry for my interruption. I just wanted to say that Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition finally got its first discount, though it's only $10 off.
Are you waiting for a discount to get that game?
Yeah, I really want Resident Evil 7. It's like one of the only games I want.
And now it's $10 off.
It's $10 off. I'd much rather have it 25 off, but that's probably going to take a while.
That probably won't happen for like a year or so.
Yeah, like, so $10 off at Amazon and $10 off at GameStop. GameStop says the used copy is $38, which would be a little bit less thanks to my Power Rewards membership. But I don't know if the DLC is on the disc or if there's a code inside, and I can't find a clear answer.
Speaking of GameStop, you know what's kind of funny?
What?
I've literally been the only one who's been buying their retro games lately.
Wow.
I have currently bought 4 games from them. I bought Legend of Zelda, I bought Mario Kart. Oh no, it's 3, sorry. And then I bought Donkey Kong. I really haven't seen anyone else looking at the retro games.
Speaking of that, did you beat Zelda since Wednesday?
This one I'm on Dungeon 9, so got a little ways to go.
Oh, hang on. So it looks like with Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition, the DLC is on the disc. The only thing that you have to download is the Not a Hero campaign because they couldn't fit it on the disc. But even then, it's free. It was free for people who own the normal version.
The Not a Hero campaign?
Like, there's multiple different campaigns released as DLC. Not a Hero... Like, do you know... I don't know the story of Resident Evil 7, but do you plan to play it?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, then I don't know if I want to spoil it. I only know
I
one.
don't care. I'm probably not gonna play it for a very long time. So.
Well, the thing is, Resident Evil 7 was noted for being the first game in the series for a while that had a completely original cast. Well, all I know is that at the end of the game, Chris makes a surprise appearance.
He's probably not Boulder Puncher, but...
He's definitely not a Boulder Puncher. And basically, the Not a Hero campaign, you actually play as Chris.
Oh, that's neat.
So, and it was released for free. It was released as a free update. So, from what I can tell, all the DLC except that is on the disc. But you still need to download the Not a Hero campaign because it was a free update for even people who own the normal version, and I guess they couldn't fit it on the disc.
So, off topic, but same topic really. Why do you think Sony, or more precisely the Vita, failed at portable gaming? And the PSP was okay, but the Vita wasn't so great.
Honestly, I think the main problem with the Vita was the restrictive nature of it. And the fact that they didn't have too many backwards compatible PSP games for it.
I think the reason why the Vita failed is that, simply put, Sony didn't really try.
Yeah.
Because
they didn't really
a lot
try
of
that
the big,
did they?
A lot of the big games for it came out in the first year. I think Sony was just banking on Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified to be the system seller, but they gave it to a shitty developer who made a shitty game, and that game bombed. And I noticed right after Black Ops Declassified bombed, there were no more Vita commercials on TV.
They didn't try to market it very hard, did they?
Essentially, instead of trying to find another killer app for the system, Sony just, if Call of Duty couldn't sell, what's gonna sell? And they gave up.
That would explain it, yeah.
Thing is, Killzone Mercenary, the Killzone series is pretty big. At least it was back then. And Killzone Mercenary basically was what Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified should have been. Sony didn't market it.
Do you think it would be different if they had have marketed it?
If they marketed it big time, chances are it would have sold a lot of Vitas. Because the Killzone series was pretty well known, especially around Killzone 2 and 3.
No, speaking of that, Schnick, I think that might be a part of the reason, like, if you don't market a system well, it's probably going to end up failing. That's been apparent with the Vita. Like you said, they pretty much dropped the marketing, as you said. And
yeah, after Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified flopped, I do not remember ever seeing a Vita commercial after that.
Is that what happened? Is that what happened with the Wii U too?
No. Okay, so here's what happened. Like, the Wii U, they didn't know how to market it. So, like, it just kind of confused people. Like, when it was coming out, I literally heard some people would say, "Oh, is it just an add-on for the Wii? I don't want it." Like, it just wasn't made clear enough. And it's been shown that if you market it more towards children, like game systems, because that's what they did, market it mainly towards children, it kind of, in a way, turned the adults away from the Wii U a bit, which was why their Switch marketing was pretty much mainly just young adults playing the Switch, and that helped the Switch out quite a bit. So the point I'm trying to make here is, if you don't market a console very well, even though a lot of people hate marketing in general, like they hate commercials or whatever, if you don't market your system, it's gonna flop, you know?
I mean, the thing with commercials is that you gotta make them memorable. Like, if they're not annoying, then, like, the main reason why people hate commercials, especially nowadays, is because, number one, they're annoying because they give into, like, stupid memes, or, God forbid, they try to create memes or, like, trends.
That's horrible. Okay.
But And second, when you watch YouTube videos, frequently you'll see the same ad again and again and again. And, like, also Hulu. Like, I remember when Geico did those What's Your Reason commercials, which were basically just a stupid hippie singer, like, singing, oh, you didn't contact Geico, and then she would, like, sing little annoying songs about all these ridiculous situations.
A part of the reason why you see all the ads on, like, over and over on YouTube again is literally because Google looks at what you look at, so... Well... trying to market you that shit.
I'll admit, the ad that annoyed me and annoyed so many other people the most was an Apple commercial.
Apple?
Yeah, there was a commercial from Apple trying to promote the new iPad Pro. So there was this gender-neutral kid who was, if you look closely, it's a girl, but, like, it's really hard to tell if you don't pay attention. Like, you could say that they're trying to appeal to, like, a certain demographic with that because, well, I don't know, but... So she's shown exploring around, playing around on her iPad, ignoring everyone around her. The iPad's the only thing, even though she's traveling around with it, alone on her bike in the middle of a city where you probably shouldn't let your kid go by himself.
Oh my god.
And then the commercial ends. She's laying down in a backyard. A neighbor is in the backyard doing laundry. She looks over and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Hi, what are you doing on your computer?" And the girl responds, "What's a computer?"
Oh my god.
Like, that triggered a lot of people. Like, the thing is, like, Apple was trying to predict a future where kids wouldn't know what a computer was.
Well, that's the thing.
That is stupid.
Yep.
That back when people were saying Mac's not a computer. Like, it's a Mac, not a computer.
I will say this, like, oh my god, like, does Apple really think tablets can do what PC Mega Machines could do?
Our technology is not going to get like that. You can't replace a computer for a fucking tablet.
This like graphics get even the graphics kids.
Backlash the commercial was so bad that celebrities like Wanda Sykes were ridiculing it.
Yeah, even if a tablet gets as good as a computer will always be better.
What's the most memorable ad to you guys? I remember the Doritos Super Bowl commercial. That one was kind of funny.
I had to think about that. I gotta think about that. But back to Metro real fast. I meant to bring that up earlier, but wasn't Metroid like hailed for being very progressive at the time, for being the first game with a female protagonist?
The original Metroid, shocked a bunch of people. Yeah, no, he said Metroid. But the original one, when Samus was revealed to be a girl, I think it did shock a bunch of people because back in the NES, there wasn't very many female protagonists. I guess it wasn't until, like, the PlayStation where you would see female protagonists more common.
Yeah, like, first you had Lara Croft with Tomb Raider. Trying to think of what other ones. Well, let's see.
Oh, speaking of that.
Oy.
Sorry to interrupt you, but when I was watching the Nostalgia Coast review of that, I had no idea her name was pronounced the other. I thought her name was Laura. And people, I still pronounce it that way, but he called her
Lara.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's not Laura. All this time I thought it was Laura. Sorry.
It's a British name.
Oh my god, you just reminded me of a funny scene in friggin' Tomb Raider Legend where, like, you're somewhere in, like, Russia or, like, a Russia-controlled area. Lara encounters these two Russian soldiers, and they're like, "You are American?" And then she's like, "British." And then at one point, they try to hide something from her by saying something in Russian, and then she responds to them in Russian.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, what were you saying before?
Well, I was trying to say that I was trying to think of like other PS1 or N64 games that had women as the main characters. The only other one I could think of is Hana from Fear Effect.
Laura's the only really one I know other than Samus.
Oh, speaking of Hana from Fear Effect 2 shocked a lot of people when... So, the first Fear Effect had 3 playable characters. The Fear Effect 2 added a 4th character called Rain. And the one scene that shocked a lot of people back in 2001 was when the other 2 main characters and their superior or something like that ended up catching Hana and Rain making love to each other.
Wow.
She was the first lesbian game character, one of the first, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I could see how that shocks people, but that's just kind of funny.
Who else was there? Like, I can't think of a whole lot of...
Yeah, there's not very many, but...
I mean, I found out that when I was a kid, I always thought freaking Link in Legend of Zelda was called Zelda. I found out that was a common misconception.
Yeah, that is like... I think that is still the most common misconception about that series. Like, it's especially, like, bad because, like... This one is the Legend of Zelda, so many people would think, oh, the little guy you're controlling on the screen must be Zelda because it's his legend. But
not
no,
helping
like
matters was the fact that there's quite a few games in the Zelda series that don't even have Zelda.
Yep.
In fact, supposedly, I read this on IMDb, so it looks like the original Japanese title of the game was Hyrule Fantasy: The Legend of Zelda, and they wanted they wanted the series to be named Hyrule Fantasy for that reason, but they ended up just sticking to Legend of Zelda for whatever reason.
So it was literally called Hyrule Legend or
Hyrule Fantasy, I think. Let me make sure that's right.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I think the only games you play as Zelda is the CSI games.
CDI games? Yeah, I have those.
CSI, yeah, CDI.
Yeah, there's the Link the Faces of Evil on that console where you play as Link, and then there's Zelda Wand of Gamelon where you play as Zelda, and then there's Zelda's Adventure where you again play as Zelda. That one's
I'm right.
Though. You're right.
I'm right. It was supposed... The original full name of the game is The Hyrule Fantasy: The Legend of Zelda.
That's really interesting.
You know, I read somewhere one time, or saw it sometime, that of the 3 games that the guy made, one was named... He named one after the hero, one after the princess, and one after the villain. Donkey Kong, Mario, and Zelda.
Huh.
Donkey Kong was the villain, named after him. Mario was the hero, named after him. And Zelda was the princess, named after him. her.
What if there was a Zelda game called The Legend of Ganondorf?
Oh my god. No, we need The Legend of Shrek.
Yep.
But yeah, in terms of title changes, the one that stuck... Like, we all know what happened with Resident Evil. It was called Biohazard in Japan, but they had to rename it Resident Evil in North America and Europe because back then, trademarking the name Biohazard in America was almost impossible. Because there was a punk rock band, at least, I think, a movie, and some shitty DOS game, according to one of the American staff members of Capcom that already had the name Biohazard. Unlike Zelda, the name Biohazard stuck in Japan. And then we get to Resident Evil 7 when they end up using the opposite title per region as a subtitle. So you get in America, you get Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and in Japan, you get Biohazard 7 Resident Evil.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. It's like they're acknowledging, oh, we call this here, and we call this here.
Oh, I remember a commercial that I still remember now. Those singing frogs for the Super Bowl.
The singing frogs for the Super Bowl. I think generally the most memorable commercials you'll find is for the Super Bowl.
Thank God my mom and dad are actually having a little party with some friends.
Yeah, because I don't watch Super Bowl. I don't never watch Super Bowl.
I don't watch football, so.
The only time I ever watched football was when I used to go to my school's football games. Of course, that was to watch the cheerleaders more than the actual game.
Of course,
I had
to watch a lot of football games because I played in the band.
Yeah, I had a crush on a cheerleader back in the day.
Yeah.
So.
You did?
Yeah. I even danced with her at my prom.
But yeah. I didn't go to fucking prom, but part of me wants to regret not going, but another part of me is like, oh, I got to eat my favorite childhood restaurant for the last time.
The reason I even went to my senior prom was, well, besides get a chance to get a dance with her and a picture with her, was senior prom was free for seniors.
I'm not going because our school's dances are absolutely stupid. And it's just a big
if I went to my
fest.
prom, I would have had to pay for it.
Yeah. The juniors had to pay for their prom, and if you had a date with from someone else from not your school, you had to give them buy a ticket for them. But if at least at the time in my school, if you're a senior and you go for prom for free, I'm like, free tickets? Okay, whatever. I'm not doing anything else.
I mean, my mom was not going to let me go unless I had a date. And I think I told this story before, but the thing is, I've mentioned in the last few episodes how I've felt social anxiety and trying to make friends ever since middle school. Going on a date with someone, like, friends are at least possible. Like, I think I could do that. Dating, I can't. I just do not think I can.
If you have to, I say double date, at least, or group date.
Honestly, a double date might be the most possible way. If a friend and his girlfriend end up having me go with them and another girl, and I end up dating the other girl, that's like the only way I can see it happening.
Probably less socially awkward, you know.
Probably.
Yeah. But I'll just say, the way I didn't go to senior prom was just like Final Destination level shit. Like it was never meant to be.
Really?
My sister hooked me up with a friend of hers.
That's the one with the stalker?
Oh, yeah. What happened was, so my sister hooked me up with a friend of hers. I got as far as meeting her. And then, as we were getting closer to the prom, 1 month away, I asked my sister, oh, she's still good? And she says, no, she's not. What happened was, I guess there was this transgender person that started stalking her.
What the hell?
Like, I guess some girl that was, like, transgender or something like that ended up stalking her and tried to force her feelings on her. And I guess it got aggressive. Like, I know the LGBT community is all discriminated and they're like fighting for their rights, but that's no excuse to start stalking people just because you want them to convert.
That's just not right.
That's just assholes in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the thing with minorities. A lot of the times they think they can get away with shit just because they're discriminated, but that's no excuse.
The whole point is, to prove that you're not you're better. That you want to be equal. You don't like do the same thing done to you. You be better than that. Like I'm being discriminated against, so I'm going to demonstrate against you too. Like, no, bad, very bad.
You're an evil white man. You can't discriminate me, but I can discriminate you. But anyways, so she starts stalking. I don't know if it was a he or a she, but my sister's friend gets stalked. She files a restraining order. And here's the unfortunate part. This person was attending the prom.
So she couldn't?
So she couldn't go. She didn't want to intentionally get the person in trouble.
Why?
I don't know. And now here's the even sadder thing. This person and his/her date, they were juniors. And this was a senior prom.
So you have separate proms?
Yeah, junior and senior prom. We got those.
No, we had one prom, junior, senior prom.
Yeah, my sister told me the name of the person. I'm not releasing names as I usually do to protect their identities, but I think I know who the person was.
Wow.
Yeah. She was always going around hanging out with like kids my age.
Older kids?
Yeah, older kids.
So she was older than your sister. She was your sister. She was older than your sister, right? Your date.
I think older by a year. Yeah. So yeah, because of that whole debacle, she couldn't go with me to the prom.
Well, that sucks.
I just went solo.
My history teacher that was teaching me Latin American history at the time, like I had her numerous times, she at the last minute asked a kid in class if she would go with me. She says yes. And then right as we're walking out, she's like, okay, just let me know what you want to do, how you want to meet up. And this was like 2 weeks before prom.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. As soon as we step out the class, she walks up to another boy and starts flirting with him, doing the finger movements up his body. Hey, boo, how you doing? And that sexually suggestive voice right the fuck in front of me.
Well, you weren't really... to be fair, you weren't really... It wasn't really a date. It was probably a friendly thing. It wasn't really... Somebody already had a boyfriend.
I get the feeling that if I did go with her, she was going to abandon me at the prom.
Probably.
Yeah, because I did not know her all that well, but she was still being friendly about it.
Probably sounds like on TV shows where you date someone for a cover for your parents. Like your parents don't want you to date this one guy, so you date this other guy as a cover.
Well, I don't know. My ma told me that it didn't feel right to have that person as a date, so I just politely declined. And she was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine."
Yeah,
all with a smile on her face, by the way.
Probably just being nice anyways. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but
I went solo to my prom.
Yeah. Part of me wants to regret not going to the prom because honestly, it was probably one of the last ways I would have been able to interact with kids in my high school. Then again, I also turned down the opportunity to attend the senior picnic that was like a few days before graduation. That I could have done and probably should have.
I loved my senior picnic. We had my senior picnic at my elementary school park, and mainly all I remember from it, besides playing on the playground, a bunch of high schoolers playing on the playground, was we took those old Pepsi Grips bottles, and we all smashed them all on the ground because they exploded real easily. We shook them up, and we threw them on the ground, and we all cheered and they exploded. That's all I remember from that. Exploding pop bottles.
Exploding Pepsi bottles.
Oh. Same time, even if I did go to the senior picnic, I don't know if I would have been able to sit with anyone. Well, the thing with senior prom is that if I had went, I would not have been able to have gone to my favorite childhood restaurant with my sister because we went there instead on the night of prom. It closed down just months later.
Wait, you could have still gone there.
Wow.
You could have taken your date or whatever as going there for your dinner, prom dinner.
Well,
but Schnick didn't know her very well, so.
And secondly, if I had gone, I would have had to witness the one guy who called me a Jew winning prom king.
A Jew?
Called you a Jew?
Yeah, there was this one special needs kid who was really popular. He was a football player. And for some reason, even though he was super friendly with everyone, he just hated my guts for some reason. Like, literally, never, like... He gave me these angry faces all the time. Even one time when he smiled at me, I smiled back. He immediately went back to giving me angry face. Like, I talked about angry face man last year. No. At his worst, this kid, when he was giving his angry face, he looked like he was ready to frickin' and throw a knife through my neck.
Be like,
Jesus.
Hey, how you doing? Hi. I hate you. Hi, how you doing? Hi.
Yeah, well, at one point, he came around. I was standing outside the class I was in with him. He came around the corner. Some girls greeted him. He was like, "Oh, hey." But then I was standing in the way a little bit between him and the girls. He's like, "Oh, hi." And then he looks at me, Jew, walks by me.
Oh, my God.
That's like Chris Chan level shit.
Yeah, that's really stupid.
Funny thing is, I'm not even Jewish. But still,
wow.
If I was Jewish, that would definitely have made it worse. But assuming I was because of my last name, oh my god.
Your last name sounds Jewish.
I guess you can argue it does, but. I
don't really see how names are supposed to denounce your religion.
That's the exact same thing that happened with Chris Chan. He assumed the owner of the game place was Jewish because his last name was Snyder.
Snyder?
Yeah. It's funny is a lot of history listening to over SAS. I heard a lot of Jewish people change their names when they came to America so they could fit in better. Like
I know that my grandfather, his last name was Beck, except the original spelling was just B-E-C.
Or in foreigners and not just Jewish, but foreigners in general, they change their last names. Like people, they can hide. I'll say hide. Well, I guess hide or integrate better in America.
Well, that's what I was about to say. My grandfather's last name was Beck, as in B-E-C. All he had to do was just add a K to it, and then he was good.
Because that kind of makes it hard sometimes that if you get your family tree, like all of a sudden, like you spell different names. But no, that's not my. Like, you go back to your family tree. Oh nope, it's spelled BC. That's not my family. It might be your family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to be into ancestry. I still am. I kind of faded away for a little bit, but I used to try to research my family tree. I'm like different name spellings. It's weird.
Well, actually, let me think. So, getting back to the whole prom thing, like, oh yeah, we got there because of how I mentioned that one kid winning the prom king. Yeah, if I went to the senior picnic, I don't know if I would have been able to sit with anyone. The kid I walked with at prom was not going. And, I don't know if anyone else would have agreed to let me sit with them. Honestly, I went on a class trip in 2012 to go see Lincoln, the movie.
Yeah.
I was expecting just to sit on my own. Like, it was actually playing in theaters, and we went to go see it. I got my large popcorn, my large drink. I was just expecting to sit on my own until like I mentioned that I went to the movies with one friend I knew in junior year. He ended up moving to another school. And another friend of his stayed behind, so I was still talking with him on occasion. So I go in the theater and I'm like trying to find a place where I can just sit on my own. And then I see him sitting with another girl that was in some of my classes. She ends up waving at me and like makes motions for me to come over to them. So, and then they talked to me for a little bit, and then I just sat with them.
Cool.
I was not expecting that, but it was
Nice.
pleasant.
So you did have friends back then.
Yeah, but like I said, it wasn't... Like, there's a reason why I Skype messaged you that I think it's impossible now, because when you're in school and you're with kids, like, you're all just kids. Like, what are you all going to do to you beyond bullying? And therefore, because of that, it was a lot easier to approach people back then.
Yeah,
But now that I'm college age, you have people like getting into drugs and alcohol, like maybe they're getting affiliated with the wrong people. Like even if they're university students, like you really don't know who people are. I can't approach them just randomly.
Unless you're talking in class, maybe. But yeah, I think kids are, especially when I was a kid, we're a lot more trusting of people. We're not tainted by the world yet as kids.
Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I just feel like the only way you can approach people now that when you're older is just simply by joining clubs.
Of course, but then again, also heard sometimes that kids and dogs, I don't know if it's true or not, I heard kids and dogs can tell if you're a bad person sometimes. Like sometimes dogs, maybe babies can try. I don't know about babies, but I heard definitely dogs can tell if you're a bad person. They can sense it. Like I have a story. My brother's dog was barking this black guy one time, and he said, my brother said, "Stop that! Stop that!" For a while, they thought the dog was racist or something against black people, but no. Apparently, that guy had just robbed the video store, and apparently the dog knew that. So it was like barking at him. I heard I don't know about babies or not, but I heard thinking about babies. You know, if baby gets somebody don't like, they start crying like crazy. Like it's a sense or something. I don't know. I don't know. Probably dogs are more than babies, really. You ever heard that before? How dogs can sense something?
Yeah, I've heard about that before.
What about you, Snick? Is anybody your dog doesn't like?
Not really. He likes all people. And I live in an area where there's not a whole lot of bad people.
It's funny if one day your tummy came to your door, like the dog was like crazy, like grrr, grrr. Like it just knew. Or really be like, hi, you're robbing our house? You're robbing our house? Pet me, pet me, pet me, pet me. No. But yeah.
Well.
Alright. Anybody else have anything to talk about? Should we wrap this up?
We've been doing this for 2 hours. Maybe it's time to wrap up.
Alright. You have any final words, Brandon?
About
our 3 topics?
Summing up today, our smallest topic, passive aggressive, being passive aggressive. It's whatever. Modern gaming, bleh, I don't really like it all that much. The senior prom, I don't really know if I'm gonna go to it just because of how my other school's dances have been. It's fucking stupid grind fest.
Okay. Snick?
I got passive aggressive earlier. And as for games, I don't know what it is. Like, I never got to fully elaborate, but I mentioned soundtracks specifically. A lot of game soundtracks nowadays just try to emulate movies. And to me, there's not a lot of memorable movie soundtracks. Like, a lot of it's just generic orchestra stuff.
Good point.
Like, whereas back in the day, like, when you had, like, the limitations of cartridges, you had to, like, be creative with your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the PS1 and PS2 days, like, people were keeping it up, like, especially Japanese developers. In fact, nowadays, it seems like Japanese developers are among the only people that still keep it up. Like, Final Fantasy 15 has a damn good soundtrack, still. And that was released in 2016. And then what else we get? Well, Mario Odyssey, I thought was alright. Zelda, I think, was okay. Not sure what else. There's not that many good examples, but I swear to God, Castlevania was probably one of the best soundtracks ever.
Castlevania usually has really good soundtracks, though.
Yeah, until Lords of Shadow went with the generic orchestra shit.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, I partially want... I want to do a live Let's Play of Castlevania Curse of Darkness just so I can hear the soundtrack. Like, one criticism people had with Curse of Darkness was that its areas looked generic. Like, its environments looked generic. To me, what kept me pushing through those environments, wanting to explore them more, was the soundtrack.
Maybe that could be a future topic.
Yeah, maybe.
Gaming music. But, anyways, rapping might end up. Proms. When I go to it, go to it. If you don't. It's something to do. If you're bored, if you have nothing else to do, like I did. Modern gaming. It's weird. Growing up in the 80s, I only played all these mostly classic games from the 80s, so it's more a nostalgic trip for me than actually, going back and playing them the first time, because I already played them the first time. So, yeah, modern gaming, they're okay, but I'm more of a story person than a graphic person, so I don't really care about graphics that much, even though they're some that are cool, so... And shooting games, I don't play shooting games, so there you go. As for passive aggressivism, if you don't like it, just ignore them.
Can I add something real quick to the modern games?
Sure.
You mentioned that you like story more than graphics. Well, that's another problem. A lot of modern games don't have good stories. In fact, the thing with a lot of shooters is that they just don't focus on the campaigns that much at all. They just want... They're like, oh, people just want multiplayer. In fact, even Doom didn't have that good a story. Like, Doom was like a great single-player experience, but they barely focus on the story. Like, all you know is like, oh, you're a Marine on Mars, shoot demons.
Pretty much.
Yeah, honestly, but the thing is, it's still possible for a shooter to have a good story. I thought Wolfenstein 2 was good.
Yeah, Wolfenstein had a good story.
Yeah, Wolfenstein the New Order, Wolfenstein the New Colossus. Like, I was pushing through Wolfenstein the New Colossus because of the story. Like, it had, like, a lot of FPS games just have you playing as, like, a faceless soldier or something like that. But no, BJ Blazkowicz actually does have a character to him.
Mm-hmm.
And you're actually invested in it. And that's another reason why I detoxed from Review Tech USA, because he claimed that Wolfenstein New Colossus wasn't that good.
Well, join us next week for episode 99 of the Talking Time with Caffeine. Hopefully Mario will be back, because it's not his birthday. And until then, enjoy the randomness. I came over to this next channel if he might be live streaming later tonight. His game.
I might do Pac-Man, I might do Castlevania, it depends.
If you're still here, we'll see you over at Nick's channel. Enjoy the randomness. Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.